Let's face it, forever is not as long as it used to be, right? The CDC says that 30% of marriages end in divorce. But just because the love story goes wrong, that doesn't mean it has to end in tragedy. Divorce is tough, emotionally draining, but when it comes to your future and your kids' future, some things are definitely worth fighting for. And here to share her expertise on the matter is Carmen Campeas, family law attorney and mediator. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
This is a very tough subject, but also, can be an interesting one because, as I just said, a lot of people are dealing with it. Now, with this comes a lot of emotional pain, a lot of anger, I'm sure. How can women and men stop all of the childish bullying that goes on right now between couples when they're getting divorced?
There's financial issues and there's legal issues, but the emotional side and the legal side are really important too, especially the emotional side. You've got people who are getting bullied. The bullies are really acting like children, and they are sort of emotionally stunted. Some are bullies in a very hostile, aggressive way. They make threats. Some are manipulative and more subtle. So it's really important to address the emotional issues as well as the financial and the legal issues.
Does that affect the decision-making process and how things are handled?
Absolutely. We're really much more emotional than we would like to think we are.
Sure.
So during a divorce process, people are especially vulnerable to making bad decisions that aren't based on logic, that are based really on emotion.
Do you have any personal stories that you remember from situations that are like that, where someone maybe made some bad choices because of the pain and the emotion?
Yes, I had one particular gal that comes to mind. Her husband really had not contributed much in the marriage, either by working inside the home or outside the home. And he was really very demanding of her. And by the time the divorce came along, she really just was willing to give away her pension plan, a lot of her assets, just to get out from this marriage.
Just to be done.
Exactly. She was exhausted. Take a look at where those decisions are going to lead you. And a financial professional can really help, that team approach where the financial person can say, okay, if you gave away all these assets, where are you going to be in 5 years or 10 years? Yeah. Because in this day and age, to make up for giving away a house or the equity in a house, it's not easy. So if they can at least have someone perhaps show them where those decisions are going to end up, and someone to really help them look at why are they making these decisions? And then the legal part, of course, is important. And it's funny as a lawyer that I talk a lot more about the emotional part and the financial part and the legal part.
Is that the whole collaborative law idea? Because you hear that term a lot on these lawyer shows. Is that what that is, basically?
It is. Collaborative law is a team approach. You have to address these different areas, and that no one professional is capable of doing all that.
Now, ladies, of course, we always want to hear from you on this. Maybe you've been in a similar situation. You've dealt with a rough divorce. Maybe you're going through it right now and you want to share your stories with other women. We'd love to hear from you. You can log on to thebalancingact.com and leave your comments there. Now, what about, maybe a story or an anecdote that you have dealt with that women can relate to with people that have bullied?
In particular, I recall this one case that unfortunately did not have a mental health professional on board. And this gal was married to a gentleman who had very, very severe mental problems. He thought that he could control a computer with his mind. He thought he could.
Oh, wow.
He was being watched, and he cut the wires to power in his home. In the middle of a storm, he took his kids up a hill in the rain.
So there were kids involved, too. That's what I was about to ask. There were children here.
Yeah. And this poor mom was so exhausted from dealing with this that she was willing to give him what he wanted, which was half the time with the children. And I'm no mental health practitioner, but it seems pretty clear someone like that is not really looking out for the kids.
And you have to make great choices based on not only yourself, but you have to think about the emotional well-being of your children as well.
Had that mom had someone to really sit down with her, as I had tried to get her to do, to really evaluate her husband's mental condition, perhaps someone could have gotten him on medication and come up with a plan that would allow these children to be in a safer, more caring place.
Well, you've had some helpful words of wisdom for us this morning. I appreciate you being here as our guest.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to come.
Thank you so much. Now, for more information on collaborative law and the team approach, and to find answers to some of your questions, you can check out campeaslaw.com. And coming up next, planning for your financial future. Tips from a financial planner to help make sure that you have put enough away for that possible rainy day. We'll be right back.